Let me ask you something honest. How many days of your life have been ruined by one moment of anger? One look, one tone, one disrespectful comment that stayed with you long after the moment ended. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You've felt that heat rise in your chest. You've replayed arguments in your head. You've walked into the next room or the next meeting, still carrying the weight of something that happened hours earlier. And here's the truth, no one tells you. It wasn't the person who cut you off in traffic. It wasn't your boss's tone. It wasn't your partner's words. It was the reaction that took over before you even realized what was happening. Most men spend their whole lives being hijacked by moments like these, moments that should have passed, but instead steal our peace, our sleep, and our power. But imagine this instead. Imagine being the kind of man who doesn't flinch, the kind of man who doesn't get pulled into other people's chaos, the kind of man who can stand in the middle of stress, disrespect, or conflict and stay solid. Imagine walking through your day with a mind that can't be pushed, shaken, or provoked. That isn't fantasy, that's stoicism. And today, I'm going to show you how to do exactly that. Not by suppressing emotions, not by pretending things don't bother you, but by rewiring the way you respond. So you stop being triggered, stop being drained, and start becoming untouchable. If you're tired of giving your peace away, if you're tired of letting other people control your emotions, if you're ready to build a mind stronger than anything that tries to shake it, then stay with me. Because once you learn this, your anger won't run your life anymore. You will. Have you ever noticed how one moment of anger can take over your entire day? One rude comment, one sharp tone, and suddenly your emotions take the wheel. You feel thrown off balance, reacting before you even think, and later wondering why you let that moment control you. Why does it feel so hard to stay steady when emotions rise? And more importantly, how do we take that control back? The Stoics believed that the real battleground isn't the world around you, but the world inside your mind. They taught that true power doesn't come from reacting louder, tougher, or faster. It comes from not reacting at all, from choosing calm over chaos, from keeping your peace instead of handing it over to someone who never earned the right to hold it. In this video, you'll learn how to stop getting angry or upset, not by burying your emotions, but by changing the way you respond to them. We'll walk through practical Stoic strategies that help you pause before reacting, detach from things that don't matter, and handle your emotions like a warrior of the mind. You're not weak for struggling. You're human. Every man has felt that rush of anger or the sting of disrespect. But only a few ever learn to rise above it. This is where you begin to separate yourself. So if you're tired of feeling hijacked by your own emotions, you're in the right place. Like this video, subscribe for more Stoic strategies, and share this with someone who needs their peace back. Because once you understand Stoicism, you don't just control anger, you become untouchable. And that changes everything. 1. Reframe emotional outbursts as habits you can unlearn. You weren't born angry. You weren't born snapping at drivers, slamming doors, or replaying arguments in your mind. Those reactions, the ones that feel automatic now, were learned. They were built over years of stress, pride, and pressure, especially in a world that tells men they must be loud, tough, and dominant. But here's the truth. Real strength isn't loud. It's quiet. The strongest man in any room is the one who doesn't flinch, doesn't bark back, and doesn't let small things disturb his inner peace. Anger isn't just a feeling, it's a habit. And habits can be broken. But first, you have to see the pattern. A guy cuts you off. Your boss talks down to you. Your partner makes a sharp comment. Before your brain kicks in, your mouth fires back. That's the cycle. And most men repeat it for years because they think it's just who they are. The Stoics disagreed. They believed anger isn't a personality trait, it's a weakness in disguise. Epictetus said, "Any person capable of anger is a slave to it." Tough words, but true ones. When you react without thinking, you hand your power to whatever triggered you. You become predictable, easy to control, and emotionally drained. Picture this. You're at the DMV. You've been waiting an hour. Someone cuts in front of you like they own the place. You feel it, the tight chest, the clenched jaw, the spark that wants to turn into a wildfire. That moment, that's the battlefield. Do you fight the same old fight you always lose, or do you pause and ask yourself one simple question? Will getting angry make this better? You already know the answer. You've lived the answer. You've exploded before. And what did it bring you? More stress, more regret, more distance from the man you're trying to grow into. This is where Stoicism flips everything. You don't ignore your feelings, you step outside them. You observe them like clouds moving across the sky. You notice them, but you don't let them drive. That's the Stoic practice, letting your rational mind take the wheel. Most men believe anger proves they care. They think staying calm means weakness. But the opposite is true. Anyone can get angry. That takes zero effort. What takes strength real, disciplined strength, is staying composed while everything around you tries to pull you into chaos. When someone disrespects you and you don't flinch, that's dominance. When life gets loud and you stay steady, that's control. So next time you feel that fire rising, pause, breathe, tell yourself, this anger is a habit. I don't need it anymore. Then step back, not because you're weak, but because you've become too strong to waste your energy on things that don't deserve it. You're not here to be triggered. You're here to take your power back. And that begins, not with the world changing, but with your response changing. Respond like a man who owns his mind. Respond like a Stoic. 2. Control yourself instead of trying to control others. It's easy to snap, easy to raise your voice or fire off a comeback. That's what most men do when they feel disrespected. They lash out to feel powerful again. But that power, it's fake. It burns hot but fades quickly. And afterward, you feel drained, guilty, or even embarrassed. Real power isn't controlling others. It's controlling yourself when the moment is hot. Anger tricks you. It whispers that if you don't react, you're weak. That if someone pushes you, you need to push harder. That silence is surrender. But think back. How many times has anger actually fixed anything? You yell, and the other person yells louder. You might win the argument, but you lose the relationship. You might prove your point, but later you're lying in bed replaying everything you said, feeling your chest tighten because you know you reacted, not responded. And afterward, you feel tired not because the situation was heavy, but because you were never really in control. You were just running on instinct. Now picture this. You're at work, sitting in a meeting. Suddenly, your manager criticizes your idea in front of everyone, unfairly, even smugly. You feel that familiar fire rising. A part of you wants to snap back, defend yourself, shut him down publicly, but something inside holds you steady. A quiet voice reminds you, if I react now, I'll only make this worse. So you pause, you take a breath, you say, thanks for the feedback, I'll revisit it, and you move on. Later, in private, you address the issue with clarity, not frustration. That moment, right there, is real control. That is strength, and that, my friend, is Stoicism in action. Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoics didn't believe in letting pride run your reactions. They believed in choosing response over impulse, calm over chaos. They understood a truth many men still struggle with. Trying to control other people is a battle you'll never win. But you can always control how you show up. One of the biggest mistakes men make is assuming that staying silent makes them weak, that walking away means they've lost. But think about the last time someone exploded in front of you. Did you think, wow, what a strong person? Or did they look smaller, more unstable, maybe even a bit foolish? Rage is loud, respect is quiet. When you stay composed in the face of disrespect, you become untouchable. It unsettles people more than any comeback ever could. The Stoic path doesn't tell you to stay silent forever. It teaches you to choose your words, your tone, and your timing on your terms, not on your anger's terms. When you delay your reaction just long enough for emotion to pass, you create space, and in that space, wisdom grows. Better decisions grow. Your dignity grows. So next time someone disrespects you, don't take the bait. Let them act small. You stay steady, not because you're scared to respond, but because you refuse to be dragged into someone else's storm. You rise above, not for them, but for your own peace. That's real control. It's not about having the last word. It's about having the last piece. Start today. Don't try to control the whole room. Control your breath. Control your expression. Control the way you carry yourself. You'll walk away from every situation with something most men rarely hold on to. Your dignity, untouched. And that's a victory no one can steal. 3. Build calm like a muscle through daily practice. You can't expect yourself to stay calm during chaos if you never practice calm in normal moments. That's the part most men overlook. They wait until they're angry, overwhelmed, or pushed to the edge, and only then try to control themselves. But emotional strength isn't something that appears when you need it. It's something you train for quietly, consistently. Just like your body won't get stronger without regular workouts, your mind won't suddenly stay steady under pressure if you've never conditioned it. Self-mastery isn't a switch. It's a skill. Think of a man who's never lifted weights suddenly trying to pull 300 pounds. He gets crushed. The same is true with your emotions. If you never train yourself to pause, breathe, and sit with discomfort, even in small moments, then the first big test life throws at you will break you. Not because you're weak, but because you're untrained. Now, imagine this. You've had a long day. You finally sit down and your child spills juice on your laptop. Your instinct is to shout, but something stops you. You've been practicing this. Instead of reacting, you breathe. You say, "Let's clean it up." It feels like a small victory, but it isn't. That's a rep. That's mental strength forming, and those tiny reps prepare you for the bigger storms ahead. Stoicism wasn't designed for monks living alone on mountains. It was built for real life, for soldiers, parents, workers, leaders, people surrounded by noise, stress, and conflict. It teaches you that peace isn't found in escaping life. It's found in training your mind to stay still in the middle of life. And that training starts with the small things: waking up early to reflect, writing down your thoughts before bed, choosing silence over sarcasm when someone pushes your buttons. These aren't meaningless habits. They're workouts for your emotional muscles. The biggest mistake men make is waiting for the fire to prove that they can stay calm. But that's not how any kind of strength works. You prepare before the moment. You build rituals that steady your mind: slow, intentional breathing, small moments of quiet, a few minutes of reflection. Because when pressure hits, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your training. Marcus Aurelius wrote every day about what tested him and how he wanted to respond differently next time, not because he was fragile, but because he was committed to growth. Epictetus, who began life enslaved, taught that discipline doesn't start with dramatic actions. It starts with controlling your thoughts and reactions in the smallest moments. They didn't wait for storms. They trained in the calm. So if you're tired of being the guy who loses control whenever things go wrong, start by becoming the guy who prepares before things go wrong. Sit with discomfort instead of reaching for distractions. Notice your breath when you feel tension. Take 5 minutes each evening to reflect. These aren't small acts, they're emotional weightlifting. No one is born a stoic. No one wakes up one day with perfect control. But the man who practices, who repeats, who trains, becomes unshakable. You build calm the same way you build anything meaningful. With effort, with patience, and with time. Don't wait for life to test you. Test yourself first. Because the man who trains his mind in stillness is the one who stands firm when the world gets loud. 4. Let go of what doesn't serve you. You wake up with a plan: gym, work, tasks, momentum, and then life hits you. Traffic slows you down. A meeting gets canceled. Your boss drops extra work on you with zero warning. Suddenly, your whole plan falls apart, and frustration rises fast. But here's the truth. That tight feeling isn't coming from the event. It's coming from your attachment to how you wanted things to go. You're not upset because things changed. You're upset because you expected them not to. The world doesn't move according to your schedule. Life doesn't ask your permission before it shifts direction. And the more tightly you cling to expectations, the more pain you create for yourself. That's not weakness, it's attachment. And attachment easily becomes a trap. A man who needs everything to go right in order to stay calm is a man who will always feel tossed around by life. Letting go isn't giving up. It's choosing not to carry what's not worth holding. It's understanding the difference between what's in your hands and what's slipping right through your fingers, no matter how tightly you squeeze. The Stoics lived by this. They didn't waste energy on traffic, rudeness, or sudden changes. They saved their strength for what they could influence: their character, their mindset, their response. So, when something ruins your plans, don't react immediately. Step back and ask, is this in my control? If the answer is no, release it. Let it pass like bad weather. You're not denying reality, you're refusing to drown in it. Most men think control means forcing everything to fit their expectations. But real control is flexibility. It's the ability to stay calm because things didn't go your way. Stoicism isn't passive. It's intentional. It doesn't tell you to stop caring. It teaches you to stop wasting care on what can't be changed. And that shift is powerful. It frees your energy for things that actually shape your life. Now imagine this. You're in a parking lot. A stranger backs into your car, leaves a dent, and then shrugs like it's nothing. Your first instinct is to explode, demand justice, make him feel what you're feeling. But after that initial wave, you breathe. You think, will unleashing my anger fix the dent? Will yelling make him care more? Of course, raging won't fix the dent. It won't make the person more responsible either. So instead, you handle the paperwork, stay steady, protect your energy, and you drive away. Yes, the bumper is damaged, but you're not. That's the real win. Not because you let the guy off the hook, but because you refuse to give him anything more than the medal he already took. He doesn't get your peace. He doesn't get your night. He doesn't get a single drop of your emotional health. You kept all of that by letting go of something that wasn't worth holding. Stoic strength doesn't shout. It doesn't cling. It releases. And in that release, you find real control. So start asking yourself, is this mine to carry? If the answer is no, drop it. Because the man who knows what matters and what doesn't fight every storm. He walks through life clear, calm, and unshaken. And no matter what chaos shows up, that man stays in control. 5. Turn conflict into a personal test of mastery. Conflict is unavoidable. If you're alive, working, raising kids, or simply dealing with people, you will face it. Someone will challenge you, disrespect you, misunderstand you, or push your limits. That's life. But most men treat conflict like a threat. Their pride jumps in first. They feel like they have to win, prove something, or take the upper hand. So they tighten up, raise their voice, and try to dominate the moment. But in doing so, they misunderstand what conflict truly is. Conflict isn't a threat to your power, it's a mirror of it. It shows you exactly where your self-control is still weak, where your ego is still driving the car, where you're still chained to other people's opinions. This is why the Stoics treated every confrontation, insult, and unfair moment not as a problem but as practice. Life gives you endless chances to strengthen your mind by refusing to be dragged down by noise. Picture this. You're at the hardware store. You've been waiting patiently in line. Suddenly, the guy behind you cuts ahead, waves his receipt, and demands service. He raises his voice. People stare. Your heart races. Your jaw tightens. The urge to explode rises fast, but you don't explode. You step back internally. You ask yourself, what's really at risk here? My time, my ego, or my peace? And you choose the one thing that truly matters, your peace. That isn't weakness. That's power with precision. Many men believe staying calm means surrender, like not reacting makes them look soft. But reacting in anger is actually giving your power away. You're letting someone else dictate your behavior. A Stoic doesn't avoid confrontation, he simply refuses to let it control him. He speaks when needed, yes, but not with fire, with clarity. Because he knows the only thing worse than being disrespected is lowering himself to match that disrespect. The more you treat every moment of conflict as a test, not of who's right, but of who's in control, the stronger you become. Conflict stops being a battlefield. It becomes a gym. You stop wasting energy on petty arguments. You stop shrinking your world because of small people, and you start growing through every challenge. This is exactly how Marcus Aurelius lived. He ruled an empire, faced betrayal, war, and endless politics. Yet he chose stillness. He didn't pursue revenge. He pursued integrity. He understood that every interaction is a chance to practice self-mastery, not occasionally, but daily. And men who adopt this mindset don't just survive conflict. They walk through it unchanged, untouchable. So next time someone tries to push your buttons, try this. Instead of snapping back, stay silent. Instead of proving a point, protect your energy. Instead of taking on their chaos, stay in your calm. Not to appear wise, not to impress anyone, but because you've trained yourself not to fall for things that aren't worth your fall. You're not here to react to every insult. You're here to sharpen your edge. And every conflict gives you that opportunity. Respond with control. That's the real victory. And every time you do it, you prove something far more powerful than dominance. You prove you've mastered the hardest battlefield of all, yourself. 6. Stay present. Because your imagination makes you angry. It's almost never the moment itself that makes you angry. It's your mind sprinting ahead or spiraling back. You're not upset about what someone said, you're upset about what they meant, what might happen next, what it says about you, or what you should have said in return. It's the mental noise that hurts you, not the moment. And until you learn to stop living in the past or the future, you'll keep losing control in the only moment that matters, this one. Men don't talk about this much, but it happens constantly. Someone cuts you off in traffic. The event lasts 3 seconds. Yet you replay it for the next 30 minutes. You imagine confronting the driver. You imagine yelling. You build a whole story in your head. And you drag that weight into your next meeting, your next phone call, even your home. The moment is long gone, but your mind carries it like a chain. That's how small things turn into heavy burdens. Because you didn't let them go when they happened. Stoicism slices through this mental clutter. It says, you only ever have now, and right now, there is no insult, no imagined future, no past to fix. There is only breath, action, choice. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind to return to the present. Whenever he drifted, he reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think, not tomorrow, not after the argument. Now, a common trap is believing your thoughts are facts. Just because you're thinking something doesn't make it true. Most of what you react to isn't real. It's imagined. The Stoics knew that an untamed mind creates more enemies than the world ever will. It builds arguments that never happened, problems that don't exist. Try this. You're about to talk to someone you don't like. You're already tense, already expecting trouble, but that tension didn't come from them. It came from the future you created in your mind. Stop. Come back. Be here. Maybe they'll be rude. Maybe they won't. But you'll handle both better from a grounded mind than from an anxious one. Mindfulness isn't just spiritual fluff. It's a tactical advantage. It keeps your head clear when your instincts want chaos. You don't need to meditate for an hour. Just notice your breath. Notice your posture. Notice the sounds in the room. The weight of your feet on the floor. Every time your mind runs away, you pull it back. You train it like a muscle. And the more you train it, the less you overreact to fantasies that aren't even happening. You stop reliving the past. You stop rehearsing arguments you don't need. You start responding from presence, not fear, not frustration. That's where your calm lives. That's where your power lives. You don't control what already happened. You don't control what hasn't happened yet. But you do control now. And if you can own the present moment, even for a few breaths, you're not just practicing stoicism. You're living free. That's a kind of strength no one can take from you. 7. Drop the weight of resentment before it ages you. Resentment doesn't just poison your mind, it drains your body. You've seen it. The man who looks tired, even when he slept well. The one who walks heavy, even when he's not carrying a thing. The man who flinches at kindness because he's used to being hurt. That weight isn't physical, it's emotional. And the longer you hold on to bitterness, blame, and old anger, the more it wears down your energy, your clarity, and your ability to feel light again. Most men don't even notice it happening. A lot of men think they've moved on, simply because they've stopped talking about something. But silence isn't healing. Just because you don't speak about an old hurt doesn't mean it isn't shaping how you trust, how you talk, and how you react. That grudge from 5 years ago, it's still sitting on your shoulders. It shows up in your sleep, in how fast you snap, in how quickly you shut down. This is why the Stoics saw forgiveness not as a moral duty, but as survival. Letting go isn't about excusing what someone did to you, it's about refusing to let it keep owning you. Because every ounce of resentment you hold steals peace from your present. And no one deserves that kind of power over your life. Not even the one who caused the hurt. Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus can get the better of my will." That's forgiveness, not approval, not forgetting, but refusing to stay chained on the inside. Think back to a moment when someone crossed a line, lied to you, embarrassed you, or walked out on you. You told yourself you'd never forget, and you didn't. But every time the memory surfaces, your stomach twists, your mood drops, and you lose your peace. That's not strength. That's self-inflicted suffering. You're reliving something long after they've stopped thinking about it. That's the trap. Believing that holding on protects you when really it drains you. A Stoic doesn't hold anger like armor. He drops it like fire because he knows the person who carries it is the one who gets burned. Forgiveness doesn't mean trusting again. It means clearing space in your heart for something better. And it starts with one simple decision. Stop feeding the story. Every time you replay the hurt, you pour energy into the wound. Stop rehearsing pain. Start guarding your peace. Imagine you're in the break room at work. Someone throws a slick little comment your way. You know it's a jab. You could clap back, carry it home, bring it up to a friend later, replay it until midnight. Or you could smile. Not because you're weak, but because you're done carrying trash that isn't yours. You take a breath, you walk out, and you leave the weight behind. That isn't passivity. It's power, power under control. It's knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. When you start dropping resentment, you'll feel it in your shoulders, your sleep, your thoughts. Forgiveness isn't a gift to them, it's a gift to yourself. Let go, not for their sake, but so you stop dragging the past into your present. You have more life ahead than behind. Make room for it. The man who travels light lives free. And you can be that man once you decide to put the weight down. 8. Pause before you react. It changes everything. Anger rises faster than most people realize. One sentence, one tone, one careless remark, and suddenly you're halfway to raising your voice or slamming a door. By the time you notice you're angry, the reaction has already taken over. That's how most men live. On autopilot, pushed by triggers, pulled by tension. In that tiny split second between the spark and the fire, they hand away their power. But what if that split second was the place you took it back? Stoicism begins in the pause, the space between what happens and what you do next. That's the real battleground. Not the argument, not the insult. The real fight is in that breath, that brief moment where you choose. Do I react like the old me, or respond like the man I'm trying to become? Most men never see this space. Their emotions outrun their awareness. But once you learn to recognize it, you realize how much control you've had all along, and how often you've thrown it away. Picture this. You're at home. Your teenage son snaps back at you again. The tone cuts, the look stings. You feel yourself about to erupt, but something grabs you. You inhale once and say, I'm going to respond in a minute. That one move is power, not fear purpose. You just interrupted a cycle that has played out in millions of homes for years, and now you're starting a new one. The mistake many men make is believing hesitation shows weakness, like if they don't respond fast, they lose respect. But what you gain in those 2 seconds is clarity. You give your brain time to aim. That's what the Stoics trained for, not to feel nothing, but to act with intention. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, don't feel. He said, don't act unless it serves the greater good. And often, the greater good begins with silence. We live in a world that worships speed. Reply now, react now, defend yourself instantly. But emotional discipline isn't about speed. It's about accuracy. The right words, at the right time, with the right tone. And you can't get that if adrenaline is speaking for you. You need to pause, to breathe, to name what you're feeling, before it becomes something you regret. It doesn't require years of meditation. Just one choice. When the pressure hits, you stop. You say, I don't need to react yet. You step away. Take 10 deep breaths. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want? Then, and only then, you act. Not from ego, from intention. A Stoic man isn't cold. He's clear. He isn't slow. He's steady. He doesn't suppress feelings, he commands them. Because in that pause, he sees more. He sees consequences. He sees opportunities, and he steps into both with a calm hand. So from this day forward, treat tension as training. When your heart races, when your face heats up, when your fists want to clench, don't move. Not yet. Let the moment settle, then decide how to own it. Because the man who masters the pause doesn't just win the argument, he wins himself. And that's a victory worth repeating for the rest of your life. Now you know. You are not a prisoner of your emotions. You're not bound to anger, resentment, or the urge to react. The Stoics taught, and men like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived, that calm isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. Self-control isn't denial, it's discipline. And peace isn't weakness, it's strength sharpened in silence. We've explored how anger is a habit you can unlearn, how real strength comes from mastering yourself, how emotional calm is built like a muscle, how letting go is wisdom, not surrender, how presence protects your peace. and how every tense moment gives you a window, a pause where your character is forged. This isn't theory. This is everyday life. It's in how you talk to your partner, how you hold your ground in meetings, how you walk away from noise, how you stand firm in your values. Every moment is practice, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. That's how you stop being triggered by everything and start becoming untouchable. So begin today. Train your breath, guard your tone, master your pause, build a mind no one can shake. If this message spoke to you, share your story in the comments. What moment tested you recently? What did you learn from holding back? We grow by reflecting. We grow by helping others reflect too. Because in the end, the man who masters his thoughts, his reactions, and his energy is the man who truly owns his life, and that kind of strength lasts.